All right, so I just saw The Killer's Game, the latest action movie that is directed by, I just found out, a former action movie stuntman. And it's got a bunch of stunt people in there, and it stars Dave Bautista, who most people know as Drax in the MCU, and he's kind of branching out into a more traditional action role type of thing going on here. And I don't know, it's kind of a generic story where he's a it's very John Wick in the sense that he's a hitman who wants to retire. He's found his true love. He wants to get out of the game, but then as soon as he finds out that he has a terminal illness, he's not going to last the next 3 months or whatever. He orders a hit on himself because he wants to go out on his own terms, not, slowly withering away on a hospital bed. And he hires a hit on himself. A bunch of assassins with a grudge are gonna start coming for him, and then I think it's right before, but right before the contract is open, he gets a call from the doctor. They accidentally swapped his medical reports or whatever, and he's actually fine. So now he has to fight for his life and for the life of his lady love. And yeah, and then mayhem ensues. So kind of a generic story, but hey, the John Wick movies are in my opinion, some of the best action movies ever made. You're not gonna find many people that disagree with that. And their story isn't super original either. So as long as the action is good, a lot can be forgiven in these classic action movies. Unfortunately, the action in this movie is good, but not good enough, and this movie is doesn't really know what it wants to be. The very beginning, like I would say the first half hour maybe, the movie is played very straight in my opinion. There's a couple jokes here and there, but it's very much like this is an action romance movie kinda, I guess. And then once we start getting introduced to this rogues gallery of assassins that are going to try to take Dave Bautista down, he plays a character named Joe Flood, by the way. It's ridiculous, but anyway, once we're introduced to these assassins, the movie like switches and it becomes really, really goofy. And these assassins all have very bombastic, stereotypical personalities. There's like a motorcycle gang, and it's just assassins that do everything on a motorcycle. There are, there's a Spanish assassin, and he just does Spanish dance, and he kills people by dance fighting, and he listens to, Spanish music in his AirPods or whatever. There's two Scottish brothers, and they're just rowdy Scottish men, and that's their personality. And I didn't hate all of these assassins, but it was a very weird tonal shift, especially since Dave Bautista, who he's a great actor. He's really good. He's really good as Drax, but he's great in other stuff. He's great in Glass Onion, for example. So he can be goofy. And I think he needed to be goofy in this movie because I don't know if it was his choice or the director's choice or whoever, but he's playing this very straight. And unfortunately, he was like, except for the physicality, which he brings, he's really good in the fight scenes, but I just didn't find him or the romance that interesting. I wasn't that engaged. And that kind of brought the whole movie down for me because I'm watching these assassins and not all of it is great writing, but at least I'm being mildly entertained. And I kept thinking back to Bullet Train, which came out a couple years ago. That's a very goofy action movie, but I think Brad Pitt in that movie brings the same sort of goofy energy that movie required, the character that he was playing, Ladybug. And I think if we got a little bit more of that from Dave Bautista, this movie could have come together a bit more. But whether it was the script or the directing or whatever it was, it just never really came together. Not that I think this movie's equal to Bullet Train. I don't love Bullet Train, but I think it's much better than this. because even though the assassins are entertaining, I don't think they're good. Some of them just show up and then they're killed in the first 2 minutes. I'm like, okay, what was the point of them? There's this one group of Korean assassins that act as sort of like a dysfunctional family from like a sitcom in the 80s that I thought, I'm gonna love these guys. And they're taken out of the picture almost immediately. And I'm like, I would have loved to spend more time with these people. They were funny, but they're gone and we're moving on to the next people. Also, I would say surprisingly, the acting is not the greatest in this movie. It's kind of weird and stilted, which is unfortunate because this movie does have some, I'm not going to say prolific actors, but actors that have been good in things. But I don't know if the director just couldn't bring out the right performances, or if they just didn't quite connect with the script, or whatever the reason. But the acting just felt kind of flat and not quite there for me. So yeah, The Killer's Game, I'm probably not ever gonna watch it again. I'm not mad I saw it, but if you want to go to the theater and just kind of, not really think about things and watch fun action scenes and see a bunch of weird people do weird, gory things, then The Killer's Game's currently playing in theaters. You can go ahead and check it out.